"Ma'am, this line is for registered guests," the young clerk says, lips pursed tight enough to look like she's holding back a sigh. You and Harold freeze at the polished marble counter, suitcase wheels squeaking softly against the hotel's pristine floor. The kind of floor that shines too bright for comfort, the kind that whispers, "You don't belong here." The girl's name tag reads, Brittany, gold letters, smug smile. Her nails click against the keyboard like tiny judgments. Behind her, the hotel lobby hums with low jazz and the scent of fresh lilies. Wealth in fragrance form. Harold adjusts his old cap, the one from his Navy days, its edges frayed from years of honest work. "We have a reservation," he says quietly. His voice is steady, but you can hear that small catch, the one that only a wife of 42 years would notice. Brittany doesn't look up. "Under what name?" "Mr. and Mrs. Daniels." She types it with exaggerated patience. Daniels. Sorry, nothing's showing up. Maybe it's at one of our partner motels down the road?" Her tone dances on the edge of mockery. You glance around, and a couple in golf polos glance away quickly, pretending not to hear. A bellhop fiddles with his cart, trying not to get involved. The silence between seconds feels heavy. "We booked it 3 months ago," you say, sliding the printed email confirmation across the counter. The paper trembles slightly, not from fear, but anger disguised as age. Brittany glances at it, rolls her eyes. "Right, the Heritage Suite, sure," she almost laughs. "That's one of our premium suites, ma'am. Usually reserved for special guests." You don't answer. You simply stand straighter. "Harold!" Beside you rests a hand on your shoulder, a small, wordless reassurance. "Would you like me to call the manager?" You ask finally. Brittany's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "You can, but he's in a meeting." "Maybe grab a coffee and wait in the lounge. We'll figure this out. The implication is clear. Go sit somewhere else. Let the real guests through. Your cheeks burn, but you refuse to look down. The years have taught you that silence, used correctly, can feel louder than shouting. Then, as she turns away to greet a man in a tailored suit, Harold's voice slices softly through the space between you. "You know, young lady, we helped build this place once." Brittany chuckles politely without turning back. "That's nice, sir. My grandpa says he built Disney World, too." You feel the sting of embarrassment on his behalf, but Harold doesn't flinch. He just studies the brass plaque by the desk, his eyes narrowing. Something in that look gives you pause. "What is it?" you whisper. He shakes his head. "Nothing yet." The way he says yet sends a strange shiver through you, like there's more to the story than the girl could ever imagine. Brittany waves in the next guest, ignoring you completely. You take the printed email back, fold it neatly, and slide a small slip of paper from your purse. You write something on it, slow, deliberate cursive, and leave it under the service bell before walking away with Harold toward the lounge. The bell dings once as the paper shifts in the air conditioning draft. Brittany doesn't look. "Not yet, behind you," whispers follow. Who were they? Poor folks probably wandered into the wrong hotel. But you and Harold move with quiet grace. The same grace that once opened ribbon ceremonies and shook mayors' hands. You sit in the lounge's far corner, where a grand oil painting of the hotel's original opening day hangs. The people in it wear smiles from another era, post-war optimism, black and white pride. You've always loved that painting. The irony, you were there when it was taken. And as the sunlight cuts across Harold's face, you catch that small glint of something more than hurt, something closer to recognition. At the front desk, Brittany finally notices the folded note she'd ignored earlier. She picks it up absently, unfolds it halfway, then freezes. Her eyes dart across the looping handwriting. Elegant, unmistakably old-fashioned. Just 5 words. "You might want to check upstairs." She frowns, confused. "What the?" The lobby phone rings suddenly, sharp and insistent. She jumps, nearly dropping the note. Front desk, Brittany speaking. The manager's voice crackles through. "Brittany, did an older couple just check in?" "I'm on my way down. Do not move them." Her face drains of color. "Sir, I think they left. The line goes dead." She looks up, and through the glass doors, she sees you and Harold sitting quietly, hand in hand. sunlight spilling over you like some strange blessing from another time. Something about it feels wrong, or maybe important. Either way, Brittany can't look away. You don't say a word as Harold sits beside you, his hand resting over yours on the lounge's polished table. The distant sound of the fountain fills the silence, soft, measured, almost meditative. It's the kind of calm that comes after too many storms, not before them. From where you sit, you can still see Brittany at the front desk. Her posture has changed, shoulders tight, movements jittery. She keeps glancing toward the hallway that leads to the executive office. "Let her stew a little," Harold murmurs, half smiling behind his glasses. You raise an eyebrow. "You enjoying this?" "Maybe just a bit," he says, that quiet mischief you've always loved flickering across his face. "Took her less than 5 minutes to underestimate us. That might be a record." You chuckle softly, but your heart's still heavy. You'd think after all these years people would learn to look deeper. People don't see. They assume. It's something Harold used to say when you ran the business together. When customers thought the man in the suit was the owner, not the woman in the pressed blouse beside him. You used to let them think it. Then you'd hand them your card, watch their faces shift, and smile. Now, watching Brittany fumble with the computer, you feel that same old ache. Not anger, disappointment. A waiter approaches quietly. "Would you folks like some tea? It's complimentary for guests." You exchange a look with Harold. He nods. "Earl Grey, if you have it." "Of course," the waiter says with a small smile. And you notice he's older. Probably late 50s. Polite, careful with his words. He hesitates before walking away, then leans closer and whispers, "Ignore her, folks. Some of these kids forget whose hands built the ground they're standing on." You smile. "We know." When he leaves, you rest your hand against your chin, your eyes wandering again to the painting. The Founders ribbon cutting, 1974. You remember the flashbulbs, the confetti, the band playing outside in the street. You'd spent months convincing the city council this corner was worth saving, that a hotel could bring life back to downtown after the mills closed. And now, 50 years later, the same hotel sits in shining glass and polished brass, filled with people who don't even know your name. You take a sip of tea as the waiter returns. The taste brings a flood of memory, late nights drafting contracts, early mornings checking tiles in the lobby yourself. You remember Harold slipping his arm around your waist when the final beam went up, whispering, "We'll call it heritage, because we'll leave something behind." Now, heritage barely remembers. Across the room, Brittany's voice echoes faintly, nervous, apologetic. She's speaking to someone older, likely the manager. You can't hear all the words, but her tone betrays her, embarrassment dressed up as professionalism. Then, as if on cue, she glances your way. You don't move, don't blink. You simply meet her gaze, calm, unreadable. It's Harold who breaks the silence. "You left her the note?" You nod. "What did it say again?" "You might want to check upstairs." He laughs quietly. You always did have a flair for suspense. It's more fun that way. You pause, your voice softening. Besides, sometimes people need a little mystery before they learn respect. The jazz changes to something slower, a piano drifting lazily through the lobby. Brittany disappears behind a side door. The manager, a gray-haired man with kind eyes, steps out and looks around. He spots you instantly. Recognition flashes across his face. He walks toward you, cautious but smiling. "Mr. and Mrs. Daniels?" You both nod. "Forgive the confusion, please. I was just explaining to my staff." "No harm done," Harold says, his tone even but firm. But the manager seems genuinely flustered. "It's been years since anyone saw you two here. I didn't think you'd come back in person." A few nearby guests look up, sensing something different in the air. You glance at the waiter. He catches your eye, curious now. "I wanted to see what's changed," you say, stirring your tea. "And what hasn't?" The manager lowers his voice. "Would you like me to show you the archives room? We keep the original guest book, your photos, all of it." You wave your hand. "Not yet. Let's see if your staff remembers what hospitality means first." A flicker of guilt crosses his face. Brittany didn't realize. She realized exactly what she wanted to see. Harold interrupts. A couple in plain clothes. Probably assumed we couldn't afford the room. The manager sighs. I'll speak with her. This isn't how we treat guests. Especially not. He stops himself, catching the weight of his own words. You save him the embarrassment with a faint smile. Especially not founders, you mean? He chuckles nervously. Exactly. A pause. The sound of footsteps approaching. Brittany returns, eyes wide, expression taut like a string pulled too tight. She's holding something behind her back. You can't tell what yet. Mr. and Mrs. Daniels? She says, voice thin. I owe you both an apology. I didn't. You lift a hand gently. You don't owe us words, dear. Just a little time. You'll understand soon enough. Her brow furrows. Time for what? Harold smiles. For the truth to introduce itself. The air between you feels charged, not angry, not vengeful, just quietly powerful. The kind of silence that carries history in it. As you stand to leave the lounge, you notice something glinting on the reception desk. The slip of paper you'd written on earlier. Gone. In its place sits a small brass key, old-fashioned, engraved with a number you haven't seen in decades. Room 101. You exchange a look with Harold. He nods slowly, his eyes thoughtful. The manager catches the glance, confused. That room's off-limits. It's part of the historical wing. We haven't used it in years. Maybe it's time you did, you say. And with that, you take Harold's hand. The piano fading behind you as you walk toward the elevator. The doors sliding open with a soft chime that sounds almost like memory. Behind you, Brittany stands frozen, still holding something behind her back. A folded photograph. She stares down at it. Two smiling faces on a grand staircase. Her fingers tremble. It's you and Harold. 50 years ago. The elevator hums softly as it climbs, an old motor with a memory of smoother days. The mirrored walls shimmer faintly, showing your reflection. Lined, calm, unbothered. Harold's hand rests over yours on the brass rail the way it always did when life got noisy. You think she recognized us from that photo? He asks, his tone halfway between amusement and disbelief. Not yet, you reply. Recognition comes slower when it's fighting embarrassment. He chuckles quietly, eyes twinkling. Always did love your patience. Even back when the board tried to vote us out of our own hotel, you smile, remembering. And yet here we are, checking back in. The elevator stops with a gentle jolt. The doors open to the heritage wing, its corridor dimly lit, lined with framed photos of the hotel's early days, smiling construction crews, ribbon-cutting ceremonies, gala dinners. You walk slowly, fingertips grazing the cool wallpaper embossed with gold. Every step feels like walking through a scrapbook. When you reach room 101, Harold pauses. The brass number glints faintly beneath a thin layer of dust. You slip the old-fashioned key into the lock. It turns with a soft click, smoother than expected, almost as if the door had been waiting. Inside, the room smells faintly of cedar and lemon polish. The curtains are drawn, light pooling through lace like honey. The furniture is vintage but well kept, a relic of the 1970s that somehow feels timeless. Harold closes the door. Behind you, I can't believe. It's still here, you whisper. Everything. Built with care lasts longer than arrogance, he says. You run a hand along the edge of the writing desk. The same desk where you once signed your first partnership contract. A memory flashes. You, in your 30s, wearing your best cream blazer, Harold beside you, your signatures overlapping on the final line. You open the drawer. Inside, a single pen and a folded napkin. The napkin bears a faint logo, the original Heritage Hotel emblem, stitched in gold. You smile. They kept the details. Harold looks around, his eyes misty. You remember how we picked the wallpaper color? Of course I do. The board wanted beige. You said beige felt like giving up. I chose this gold to remind guests they were walking into something hopeful. He laughs softly. And now it's fashionable again. You move toward the window and part the curtains slightly. Down below, through the atrium glass, you can see Brittany pacing behind the front desk, her phone pressed to her ear. The manager stands nearby, whispering something that makes her face pale even more. She's learning, you murmur. Harold joins you. Let's hope she keeps listening. The room feels alive again, not with sound, but with presence. You sit on the edge of the bed, mind drifting. Do you ever think we made a mistake selling it? You ask. Harold sighs. No, it needed new energy, new hands. But maybe they forgot the heart of it. You nod slowly. Then maybe we remind them. He turns toward the door. Want to check the archives? You hesitate. Not yet. I want her to find it herself first, he grins knowingly. You're setting up a test. Call it an opportunity for growth. Downstairs, a commotion begins, faint at first, then louder. You can hear muffled voices echoing up the stairwell. The sound of hurried heels. Brittany's voice cuts through. Sir, I swear I didn't know who they were. I thought, a pause. Then the manager's sharper tone. You thought wrong. And you didn't even check the founder records? The door to room 101 vibrates slightly from the echo. You and Harold exchange a look, equal parts nostalgia and mischief. She's about to learn what that guest book means. Harold says quietly, you nod. If it's still there, he frowns. Still there? What do you mean? The archives room was always kept locked after we sold the place, remember? Only the manager had the key. But that was years ago. Exactly. You both fall silent. Something about the uncertainty sharpens the air. Moments later, the landline phone in the room rings. You glance at it, an old rotary model, cream-colored, slightly crackled from time. Harold picks it up. Hello? Static, then a voice. Mr. Daniels? This is Thomas, the concierge. I just wanted to say, it's an honor. My father used to talk about you. He said you treated every worker like family. Harold smiles faintly. That's kind of you, Thomas. You still keep the Founders Guestbook down there? A pause. We did, sir. But, well, that's just it. It's gone. Someone took it from the safe last month. Your heartbeat slows. Gone? Yes, ma'am. The lock wasn't forced. It was missing. Like someone had the code. Harold exhales slowly. Thank you, son. When he hangs up, you stare at each other. That's not random, you say. No, Harold agrees. Someone wanted it hidden. You look toward the hallway, where the framed photo of the hotel's groundbreaking hangs, your younger self smiling at the center. Then, faintly from beyond the door, you hear footsteps, slow, hesitant. A knock. Brittany's voice soft, uncertain. Mr. and Mrs. Daniels, I found something. You exchange a look with Harold, the kind that carries decades of unspoken communication. Come in, you say. The door opens, and Brittany steps inside holding a thin red folder. Her eyes flicker nervously between you both. I went into the records room, she says quietly. I didn't find the guest book, but I found this in the drawer beneath the safe. You motion for her to hand it over. The folder is dusty, edges curled, faintly embossed with the words Founder Agreements, 1974. Harold opens it slowly, scanning the top page. Then his breath catches. Evelyn, he says. Look, there in faded ink, your signature next to his. You smile faintly. Guess not everything disappears. Brittany watches in silence, guilt and awe mingling in her face. You really did build this place, she whispers. You meet her eyes, gentle but firm. Some things you can't Google, dear. You just have to respect. And though the moment feels calm, beneath it all runs a quiet question neither of you speaks aloud. If the guest book is gone, who took it? Morning light slips through the lobby skylight, soft and golden, the kind that makes old things look sacred again. The front desk hums with forced normalcy. Phones ring, luggage carts rattle. But beneath the surface, everyone feels it. The strange, invisible tension surrounding the retired couple in room 101. Brittany moves slower than usual today. Her voice, usually sharp and sugar-slick, now trembles faintly when she speaks. The manager hasn't said much since yesterday's embarrassment. But the silence itself feels like punishment. She glances at the brass clock on the wall. 8:37 a.m. The couple is due to check out in less than 2 hours. She rehearses a small apology under her breath. Mr. and Mrs. Daniels, I just wanted to say... But every version sounds wrong. Too casual, too late. A guest coughs politely, breaking her train of thought. Brittany forces a smile, checks him in, and hands over a room key. When she looks up again, something catches her eye. Across the lobby, Thomas, the senior concierge, is speaking quietly to a man in a dark suit. The man carries a large, flat envelope under his arm. When he hands it over, Thomas's face hardens, then softens, as if recognizing something from another life. Curiosity wins. Brittany excuses herself and walks over. "Morning, Thomas," she says, trying to sound light. "Everything okay?" He looks up, startled. "Oh, Miss Brittany, yes. Just received some historical documentation from the archives downtown. The Heritage Committee's been digitizing old property records." Her eyes dart to the envelope. "Property records?" He hesitates, then opens it slightly, just enough for her to glimpse an old photograph, the edges yellowed. In it stands a young couple in front of a construction site, shovels in hand, smiling like they'd built more than a hotel, like they'd built a promise. Brittany's heart skips. The woman's face, even through decades of faded color, is unmistakable. Evelyn Daniels, the man beside her, younger, broad-shouldered, grinning with quiet pride. Harold. Brittany swallows hard. "That's them," she whispers. Thomas nods slowly. "The Founders. Back when this was just a dirt lot and a dream. You know, my father said Mrs. Daniels used to walk the grounds herself every morning, making sure every worker had breakfast. Even the janitors," her throat tightens. The memory of her own snide words from the day before echoes painfully in her head. "I'm sorry." "Ma'am, but first-class service is for registered guests only," Thomas continues, his tone distant, reverent. "You see that wall behind you?" She turns. The west wall of the lobby, a mural of framed black and white photos. Grand openings, gala nights, holiday banquets. "There's a photo there from the first Christmas the hotel opened," he says. "Taken right where you're standing." Brittany steps closer. The frames glint under the skylight, rows of smiling faces frozen in time. Then she sees it. The same couple again, standing beside a Christmas tree, surrounded by staff members in neat uniforms. At the bottom corner, a small engraved plate reads, "Founders Harold and Evelyn Daniels, 1974. She leans closer. The photo has been slightly tilted, its bottom edge smudged with fingerprints. And in the reflection of the glass, for just a heartbeat, she sees herself, standing in the same spot as Evelyn once did. Thomas's voice is soft behind her. "You didn't know, did you?" Brittany shakes her head slowly. "No, I thought they were just—" She stops herself before saying ordinary guests. Thomas finishes for her. "That's the thing about builders, Miss Brittany. They don't look for attention. They leave it behind for others to find." Her eyes linger on Evelyn's smile in the photograph. It's not prideful. It's knowing. A quiet kind of satisfaction. Suddenly, a thought clicks in her mind. "Thomas," she says quickly, "did you say the Heritage Committee sent this?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then they must have the digital archive, too, right? Like a record of every founder document?" He nods. "In theory, yes." "Why?" Brittany's pulse quickens. "Because the guest book is missing." Thomas's brow furrows. "How do you know that?" She hesitates. "Mr. Daniels told me." Thomas's eyes widen slightly. "He told you?" "Yes, last night. He said someone took it from the safe." He goes silent for a long beat. Then he exhales. "Well, that explains something. The code to that safe was changed 6 months ago, not by management, but by corporate." "Corporate?" "New ownership group," Thomas says. "They've been talking about rebranding, turning the Heritage into something modern." He says the word like it tastes bitter. "That guest book is proof of legacy, of continuity. Losing it helps them rewrite the story." Brittany feels her stomach sink. "So you're saying someone took it on purpose?" "I'm saying not everyone values what this place was built on." They both turn back toward the photo wall. At the far end, a maintenance worker is replacing an old frame that had fallen the night before. When he lifts it, dust scatters into the sunlight, and behind the photo, something catches Brittany's eye. "Wait," she says. "Hold on," she rushes over. The worker pauses as she peers behind the frame. Taped to the wall, hidden from view, is a small envelope marked with faded handwriting, in case we're ever forgotten. Her breath catches. Thomas, she whispers. Call Mr. and Mrs. Daniels, now. He looks puzzled but obeys, pulling out his radio. Brittany carefully peels the envelope from the wall. Inside is a folded piece of hotel stationery, yellowed, brittle at the edges. The ink is faint but legible. She reads aloud. To whoever finds this, the real foundation of this hotel isn't brick or glass. It's how you treat the people who walk through these doors. Remember that, and you'll never lose what we built. E. and H. Daniels. Her throat tightens again, this time not from guilt, but from something deeper. Reverence. She looks up just as the elevator doors open across the lobby. Evelyn and Harold step out, not angry, not smug, but radiant in their calm. The morning light frames them like returning royalty. For the first time, Brittany doesn't see a retired couple. She sees the founders, and for the first time, she feels the weight of their patience. You can feel it before anyone speaks, the quiet hum of change in the air. It's that subtle shift in the lobby's rhythm, the bellhop standing straighter, the front desk lowering its collective voice, the general manager emerging from his office with a smile too bright to be genuine. Everyone senses it. The Daniels are no longer just guests. When Evelyn and Harold walk across the marble floor, time seems to bend around them. Evelyn's pearls glint faintly in the morning sun, and Harold's cane clicks in steady rhythm, dignified, unhurried. Each step echoes with the weight of memory. Brittany swallows hard, the envelope still clutched in her trembling hand. Thomas meets her eyes, giving a small nod. Now or never, she steps forward. Mr. and Mrs. Daniels, she begins softly. There's something I think you should see. Evelyn's eyes, kind but sharp, fall to the envelope. You found it. Found what? Brittany blurts, startled. The letter, Evelyn says gently. We left it there when we sold the property, years ago. We thought maybe one day someone would need reminding what this place stood for. Harold's hand rests on his wife's shoulder, steady. Seems that day finally came? Brittany looks between them, guilt washing through her again. Mrs. Daniels, I owe you both an apology. Evelyn raises a hand, stopping her. You don't owe us anything, dear. Just tell the truth. The truth. That word feels heavier than the marble under her feet. She draws in a breath. The guest book, it's gone. Mr. Daniels told me last night. It wasn't just misplaced. Someone took it from the safe. Gasps ripple from the nearby staff. The general manager stiffens. That's quite an accusation, Miss Parker. But before he can smooth things over, Evelyn turns her gaze on him, calm, unflinching. Is it true? His jaw tightens. There have been security changes. Corporate's policy requires us to archive historical materials off-site. Thomas interjects quietly. Funny, off-site usually means accessible. But no one's seen that guest book since your new ownership took over. The manager's eyes flick toward Brittany, warning her to stay quiet, but she doesn't. Sir, if I may, Miss Parker, he cuts her off, voice taut. You've already caused enough confusion for 1 week. The room chills. Harold steps forward, leaning on his cane. Confusion is when someone forgets the truth. Theft is when they hide it. You can almost hear the heartbeat of the hotel stop. Brittany feels her courage spark again. Mr. Daniels, she says quickly. Thomas told me the Heritage Committee has copies of old documents, digitized records. Maybe they have something about the guest book? Evelyn smiles faintly. Good thinking, dear, the manager scoffs. You'll be disappointed. Those records don't include internal guest logs. They only have blueprints and permits. Thomas, still quiet, takes out his phone. Not necessarily. My son works at the city archive. He mentioned a subfolder last month. Something labeled Founders Ledger. Might be worth checking. The manager's face tightens. That data is confidential. Not to the people who built it, Harold says dryly. A few staff members exchange glances, the kind that silently say, Are we really witnessing this? Evelyn turns toward Brittany again. Would you call your friend at the archive, Thomas? Already did, he says, tapping his phone. He's sending over a scan right now. Moments later, a notification dings. Thomas's brows lift. Got it, he turns the screen toward them. There, in high resolution, is a scanned page from 1974, the very first entry of the guest book. A simple line in elegant cursive: "Welcome to the heritage, where every guest matters." E and H Daniels, but beneath that line, another signature, one that wasn't there before. Brittany squints. "Wait, that's recent." "It's dated 3 months ago." Harold leans closer. His hand trembles, but his eyes are steady. "That's not ours," Evelyn whispers. "Who signed our page?" Thomas zooms in. The name appears faint but legible. "Marion Crosswell, CEO, Vantage Hotels Group." A cold silence follows. Brittany's breath catches. "That's the new ownership group, isn't it?" The manager shifts uncomfortably. "Our parent company, yes." "What's your point?" Harold's cane strikes the marble, once. "This hotel was never for sale to Vantage." The manager exhales sharply. "With all due respect, sir, the sale was legal. You signed—" "Not to them," Evelyn interrupts quietly. "To an investment trust, not a chain." Her words hang in the air like thunder without lightning. Thomas frowns. "So Vantage didn't buy from you?" Evelyn shakes her head. "No, they acquired it from a proxy firm 6 months later." The realization spreads through the lobby like a slow flame. That means, if the guest book bears Crosswell's name, someone altered the record to erase the Daniels ownership link. Brittany stammers, "But why would they—" "To claim heritage," Harold says grimly. "To make it look like the founder's blessing passed to them. It's a trick as old as business itself," Thomas mutters. "And if that's proven, it's fraud." The manager goes pale. "Now let's not make wild accusations," but Evelyn's eyes gleam with something fierce, not anger but certainty. "Wild accusations don't come with handwriting analysis." Brittany tilts her head. "You can prove it?" Evelyn smiles faintly. "My husband's old friend still runs the Historical Society downtown. He authenticates signatures for the city museum. He'll know whether that's real ink or imitation." Harold chuckles low. "And I still have the original pen." A few nearby guests, drawn by the tension, start whispering. One discreetly begins recording on her phone. Brittany catches the movement, and something in her shifts. For the first time since she took this job, she's not afraid of the cameras. She meets Evelyn's gaze and says softly, "Then let's get you both the justice this place owes you." Evelyn's expression warms. "Justice isn't owed, dear. It's earned by standing when others look away." Across the lobby, the manager slips into the back office, phone pressed tight to his ear. Thomas leans closer, lowering his voice. "He's calling Crosswell." Brittany nods, eyes fixed on the elevator. "Good, let them come." As the elevator doors close on the couple, the reflection in the brass panels catches the staff's uneasy faces. Guilt, curiosity, awe, and just before the doors shut completely, Evelyn glances back. Her eyes linger on Brittany for half a second, then she smiles. That quiet, knowing smile again. The kind that says she already knows what's about to unfold. The next morning, the storm finally hits. Not rain, not thunder, but something colder. Authority. At precisely 9:03 a.m., a black SUV glides to a stop beneath the hotel's portico. Out steps a woman in a charcoal suit, her heels clicking with the rhythm of confidence. Her name tag gleams gold. Marion Crosswell, CEO, Vantage Hotels Group. Brittany watches through the lobby glass as Marion surveys the hotel like a battlefield general. 2 aides flank her, both holding tablets, eyes scanning the room for weakness. The air seems to bend around her, crisp, perfumed, expensive. Inside, Thomas mutters, "She's early." "Of course she is," Brittany whispers. "People like her never give anyone time to breathe." The general manager rushes forward, wiping invisible dust from his jacket.
"Miss Crosswell."
"A pleasure as always." Marion's smile is tight, professional. "Let's keep it brief, Greg. I understand we've had some confusion with certain guests." Greg swallows. "Yes, ma'am. A minor misunderstanding. Everything's under control." Her eyes drift toward the far corner, where Evelyn and Harold Daniels now sit calmly, side by side, sipping tea. Their poise contrasts sharply with the corporate energy cutting through the air. Marion studies them, faint recognition flickering behind her expression. Those are the guests? Greg nods nervously. The Daniels, former owners. Marion's tone softens, but not kindly. Former, yes. And you say there's an issue with a guest book? Brittany stiffens, ready to step forward, but Thomas grips her arm gently. Wait. You can feel the tension tighten, thread by thread. Evelyn finally rises. Good morning, Miss Crosswell. Marion turns, rehearsed smile in place. Mrs. Daniels, it's a privilege to meet you. I've heard so much about your contributions to this establishment. Evelyn tilts her head. Contributions? Dear, we built it. The aides glance up, surprise flickering across their screens. Marion's smile doesn't falter, but her tone cools. Of course. Which is why your name remains prominently displayed in our historical archives. Thomas can't help himself. You mean the ones your office altered? The words drop like a stone into a still pond. Marion turns, eyes narrowing. Excuse me? Evelyn slides a printed sheet across the lobby counter. The digitized scan Thomas's son sent. This is from the archive. Your signature appears here. On our original guest book page. Marion's eyes flick down, unreadable. I see. You're concerned about authenticity? Harold chuckles softly. We're concerned about truth. A few staff have gathered near the desk, pretending to dust or rearrange brochures, but their ears are tuned. Even guests linger by the lobby bar, drawn by the subtle electricity of confrontation. Marion sighs, tone clipped. The archive system occasionally auto-updates when properties merge under our umbrella. It's not a deliberate act, Mrs. Daniels, just data migration. Evelyn raises a brow. And the missing physical guest book. Was that data migration too? A pause. Then Marion's professional calm cracks. Just slightly. That item is being preserved in a corporate facility for safekeeping. Brittany steps forward now, her voice steady. Then you won't mind us verifying that, will you? The Daniels' original contract required all founder memorabilia to remain accessible on site. Marion's attention shifts to her like a laser beam. And you are? Brittany Parker. Front desk associate, the CEO smirks faintly. Ah, the same associate who mistakenly refused them service. Brittany finishes for her. Yes, I did. And now I'm trying to make that right. That earns a subtle murmur from nearby staff. A ripple of courage. Evelyn gives a small approving nod. She's been helpful. Marion folds her arms. Mrs. Daniels, this hotel is now under Vantage Hotels Group. Your emotional attachment is understandable, but ownership has transitioned. Legally. Harold leans on his cane. Legal doesn't always mean right. Marion's eyes narrow again. Careful, sir. Accusations without proof. Proof. Evelyn interrupts, her tone turning velvet sharp. You mean like the note hidden behind our photograph? Or the city archive entry time-stamped before your company even existed? Thomas places another sheet on the counter, a printout showing metadata logs. File edited June 4th. Vantage Group Incorporated August 17th. That's 2 months before you had legal access. Marion's poise wavers. Her aide steps closer, whispering frantically. You can almost see the blood drain from her face. Brittany feels the moment, the stillness before a shift in power. Evelyn says quietly, When we sold this hotel, we left behind more than brick and mortar. We left trust, and somewhere along the way that was stolen. Marion straightens, regaining composure. You've made your point, Mrs. Daniels. I'll review the record and respond formally. Harold's voice rumbles like distant thunder. You'll do more than that. He pulls from his jacket a small black leather pen case, old, worn, but polished by time. Inside rests a fountain pen engraved with delicate cursive, H. Daniels, 1974. This pen signed every page of that book, he says. And if your signature's on the same paper, an analyst will know whose ink came first. Marion freezes. Evelyn's tone turns almost gentle. You see, Ms. Crosswell, we don't need to fight you. We just need to show the truth. The quiet is suffocating. Until a phone chimes, it's Brittany's. A new email from Thomas's son. Forwarding full scan set. Includes recent access logs. Unauthorized download traced to Vantage IP. She looks up slowly. Would you like me to read that out loud, Ms. Crosswell? The CEO exhales, finally breaking. That won't be necessary, but it's already too late. Thomas leans forward, pressing the intercom button. Security, please come to the lobby. Marion turns sharply. What do you think you're doing? He smiles thinly. Following protocol. Any suspected data tampering involving federal archives is a reportable offense. The aides start collecting their devices, eyes darting nervously toward the exit. Marion steadies herself, but her confidence has melted into fury. You don't know what you're starting. Evelyn's eyes meet hers, calm and sure. Oh, I do. I'm reminding this place who it belongs to, not by law, but by legacy. The automatic doors slide open again, sunlight pouring across the floor. The contrast is blinding. The dark suits, the golden light, the quiet dignity of the couple standing at its center. For a moment, the whole lobby feels suspended in stillness. Then Marion turns, mask of civility cracking. You'll regret this. Evelyn's reply is soft, almost kind. No, dear. You will, when the truth checks in and refuses to leave. By noon, the Heritage Hotel doesn't feel like a hotel anymore. It feels like a courtroom. Employees whisper near the elevators. Guests hover by the balcony, pretending to sip coffee while secretly watching history unfold below. Even the chandeliers seem to hold their light differently, refracting tension instead of warmth. Brittany's hands won't stop shaking. She's standing behind the reception counter, eyes flicking between the Daniels and the boardroom door, where Marion Crosswell has barricaded herself for the past 40 minutes with her aides. Think she's calling corporate? Brittany whispers. Thomas leans against the counter, arms folded. She's not calling it, she's negotiating. Negotiating what? He sighs. Her reputation. The words hang in the air, heavy as the silence that follows. Then, the boardroom doors open. Marion steps out, posture impeccable, but her face carries the faintest tremor of defeat. Behind her trails Greg, the general manager, pale and sweating. Mrs. Daniels, Marion begins smoothly. I've spoken to our legal team. There appears to have been a clerical inconsistency regarding the archival documents. We'll, of course, rectify the record immediately. Evelyn doesn't move. You mean restore what you erased? Marion's smile falters. If that phrasing makes you comfortable, certainly. Harold chuckles, low, measured. You're still trying to sound like you're in control, aren't you? Marion exhales, her corporate mask thinning. Mr. Daniels, with respect, this isn't about ego. It's about maintaining the brand's credibility. Evelyn folds her hands neatly on the counter. And yet, it's the Daniels name that's etched in every cornerstone of this building. You can't maintain credibility by stealing someone else's foundation. Brittany watches the exchange, heart pounding. This isn't just a business dispute anymore. It's history standing up to its impersonator. Marion shifts her weight, searching for a foothold. We're prepared to offer a settlement, a generous one. A symbolic compensation for the oversight. The word settlement slices through the air like a blade. Harold tilts his head, eyes glinting. You think you can buy back integrity? Mr. Daniels, Marion says sharply, let's be reasonable. He leans forward, voice calm but thunderous. Reasonable was when you could have admitted what you did. This, he gestures toward the crowded lobby, the staff holding their breath, the guests recording discreetly on their phones. This is what happens when you underestimate quiet people with long memories. You can hear the hush ripple outward. Even the bellhop stops mid-step. Evelyn turns to Brittany. Dear, would you fetch the folder we left with you earlier? Brittany blinks. The one with the blue ribbon? That's the one. She hurries to the back desk and returns with the worn leather folder, edges frayed, smelling faintly of cedar. Evelyn opens it carefully. Inside lies a stack of handwritten letters. Contracts and newspaper clippings. These, she says softly, are the original correspondences between us and the city from 1973 to 1975. Every blueprint, every inspection, every approval. The heritage wasn't just built, it was earned. She turns a page and slides out a folded deed. This was the founding charter. It states clearly that as long as this building bears the heritage name, the Daniels family must be credited as founders in perpetuity. Marion freezes. Thomas murmurs. In perpetuity, that means forever. Evelyn smiles faintly. Exactly. Which means your attempt to rebrand this place as Vantage Downtown would violate the charter. Gasps ripple through the staff. A housekeeper mutters under her breath, "She was gonna change the name?" Marion's lips press into a thin line. "You don't understand how these things work." Evelyn interrupts gently. "Oh, I do, dear. I've signed more papers in my life than you've probably read. And I know when someone's lying through ink." Brittany can't help but grin. Just a flicker of pride at the older woman's grace. Marion's phone buzzes in her pocket. She glances down. The color drains from her face. Evelyn tilts her head. "Bad news?" Marion swallows. The Heritage Committee's legal counsel just reached out. Apparently, they received a whistleblower tip. Her gaze flicks sharply to Brittany. Brittany doesn't flinch. "I sent them the files, yes." A hush falls again. Evelyn turns toward her, genuinely surprised and touched. "You did?" Brittany nods. "I couldn't let them bury the truth again." Marion's voice sharpens, rising. "You violated company protocol!" Brittany meets her eyes. "Maybe, but I kept faith with the people who built this place." "Which one do you think matters more to your guests?" Even Thomas can't hide his smirk. "She's got you there." Marion steadies herself, inhaling through her nose. "This isn't over." Evelyn glances at Harold, then back at her. "You're right. It isn't." She lifts another page from the folder, a pristine typed document. "This is a copy of the Heritage's founder retention clause. It grants us the right to reclaim our name in the event that the property's values are compromised." Harold adds quietly, "And I'd say deception qualifies." Marion stares, disbelief flickering behind her carefully sculpted calm. "You're bluffing," Evelyn smiles gently. "Am I?" She hands the document to Thomas. "Would you read the witness signatures at the bottom, dear?" He clears his throat. "Let's see. Mayor James H. Kavanaugh, Clerk of Courts, Sandra Rios, and—" "Oh!" He looks up, a grin spreading slowly. "Marion Crosswell, witness in 1975. The room erupts, gasps, then stunned laughter. Even a guest near the fireplace claps once before realizing how absurdly perfect it is. Marion's eyes widen, genuine shock breaking through the corporate mask. That was before," Evelyn finishes for her. "Before you thought names didn't matter." For a long, glorious second, Marion can't speak. She's caught in her own signature, trapped by time and irony. Brittany leans close, whispering to Thomas, "Poetic justice has great penmanship." He chuckles softly. "That it does." Evelyn closes the folder, her voice calm as silk. "Now, Miss Crosswell, I believe you owe this place something far more valuable than money." Marion blinks. "And what's that?" "Respect," Evelyn says simply. "And maybe a public apology. On the same channels you used to erase us," the aides whisper frantically. The manager looks ready to faint. But the CEO, who's built a career on intimidation, says nothing. She simply nods, once, curt and humbled. As the tension breaks, Evelyn turns toward Brittany. "You did something brave today." Brittany shakes her head. "No, ma'am. I just followed your letter." Evelyn looks puzzled. "Our letter?" "The one behind the photo," Brittany says softly. "You told whoever found it to remember how they treat people." For the first time that morning, Harold smiles. "Well," he says, "looks like someone finally listened." And somewhere between that quiet laughter and the light streaming through the skylight, the balance shifts. The heritage belongs to its true owners again, not by deed but by dignity. Evening settles over the Heritage Hotel like a curtain call after a long, unforgettable play. The storm clouds that had gathered in the morning are gone now, leaving behind a clear Georgia sky that glows with gold and lavender. Through the tall lobby windows, the last rays of sunlight catch on brass fixtures on the marble floor and on a newly mounted plaque gleaming beneath the chandelier. The Daniels Heritage, founded 1975. Guests stop to read it as they pass, some smiling, some snapping photos. A few of the older visitors even whisper to each other. "I remember when this was first built." At the reception desk, Brittany adjusts the nameplate at her station. It still says Front Desk Associate, but it feels different now, heavier somehow. like it means something. She glances toward the lounge, where Evelyn and Harold sit together on the velvet sofa, cups of tea steaming gently between them. The tension of the past day has melted into something peaceful. You think they'll really keep the name? Harold asks softly. Evelyn nods, eyes on the new plaque. Oh, they'll keep it. Not because they have to, but because now everyone knows why they should. Brittany approaches, hesitating for just a second. Mr. and Mrs. Daniels? Evelyn looks up with that familiar, calm grace. Yes, dear. Brittany swallows, her voice trembling slightly. I wanted to say thank you for forgiving me. You didn't have to. Evelyn sets her teacup down, smiling. We didn't forgive you because we had to. We forgave you because someone once forgave us when we didn't deserve it. Brittany frowns, puzzled. Someone forgave you? Evelyn chuckles softly. When we first opened this place, we were just a young black couple in a town that didn't believe we belonged in hospitality, let alone ownership. People mocked us, vandalized the sign twice, even refused service contracts. But one man, the first concierge we ever hired, stood up for us. Said we were family. When he made a mistake later, we didn't fire him. We gave him another chance. She tilts her head, eyes warm. Sometimes the cycle only ends when someone chooses mercy. Brittany blinks hard, the tears threatening to spill. You really are everything they said you were. Harold chuckles. What did they say? That you built this place with more heart than money. Harold leans back. That's the secret, dear. Money builds walls. Heart builds homes. They sit in silence for a moment. Not awkward silence, but that kind that fills a room with peace. Then, from the far end of the lobby, footsteps echo. Marion Crosswell appears, not flanked by aides this time, not in heels that announce her power. She's dressed simply, holding a single white envelope. Evelyn watches her approach. Evening, Miss Crosswell. Marion nods, her voice quieter than it's ever been. Mr. and Mrs. Daniels, I wanted to deliver this personally. She offers the envelope to Evelyn. Evelyn takes it, unfolding the paper inside. It's an official company notice, the new Heritage Ownership Display Directive. At the bottom, in clean cursive, is Marion's signature. Effective immediately, the hotel shall honor the Daniels family as its founders, benefactors, and enduring namesakes. Evelyn looks up. Thank you. Marion hesitates. I know it doesn't undo what I did, but maybe it's a start. Harold nods. It is. But I hope you remember, legacy isn't about who signs the checks. It's about who signs the foundation. Marion's lips part in a half smile. I'll remember that. She turns to go, but pauses, glancing at Brittany. You did good, kid. Brittany exhales, smiling faintly. Thank you, ma'am. When she's gone, the air feels lighter somehow, like the building itself, exhaled after decades of holding its breath. Evelyn folds the paper neatly and places it back into the folder, the same one she once hid behind the lobby photo. Harold chuckles. You think we should take that picture home now? Evelyn shakes her head. No, let it stay here. It belongs where people can see it. And remember. She looks toward Brittany. Would you like to hang it up again? Brittany nods eagerly and carries the framed photograph to the center of the lobby wall. It fits perfectly under the new plaque, where sunlight hits it like a spotlight. As she steps back, her eyes catch a small inscription beneath the image, one that hadn't been visible before, now revealed under the cleaning cloth. Built with grace, endured with faith. She smiles. It's beautiful. Evelyn joins her side, voice soft but sure. That was Harold's handwriting. He carved it himself the night before opening day. Harold laughs, shaking his head. Could barely see straight by candlelight. But I wasn't leaving without those words. The camera would linger here. On the photo, the plaque, the sunlight warming the faces of those who once were forgotten but are now remembered. Then, a closing line, Evelyn's voice calm and steady, carrying the weight of a lifetime. Respect doesn't fade with age. It fades when we stop teaching it. But the moment we remember who built the ground beneath us, that's when legacy breathes. Again. If this story reminded you that respect doesn't fade with time, it only fades when we forget where we came from. Make sure to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. Have you ever seen someone judged for looking out of place, only to discover they were the reason the place existed at all? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire our next true-to-life tale of dignity and redemption. And for the sharp-eyed viewers, did you catch the quiet clue at minute 7:18, right before the guestbook reveal? Watch closely. When Evelyn sets down her purse at the counter, she leaves something behind. That tiny gesture silently exposes the truth long before anyone opens that leather-bound book. Rewatch and tell us. What detail did you notice first? Because in this hotel, every signature tells a story.